I'm making this video because it's something that helps me just cool off a little bit because I want to maintain my calmness. As a target visual deal with to synthetic telepathy. With me, what they use as perps, I think at the target visual I've mentioned that it's like this, like perps that have like this, like, first of all, this I know that target visual come in all like political views, liberal, conservative, or not. I'm more leaning on the liberal side, even though I've noticed that there's been this like ways of gaslighting me using more liberal like individual, actually almost using like woke like ways, which is disgusting. But I heard that other target visual actually deal with the same type of perping, which is sad because I do believe in liberal point of view. So this is kind of dirtying up, I think, things that should be seen. My view in politics are not what I'm preaching here or trying to bring up, but I'm definitely somebody who lean more to liberal, being liberal or left leaning. And so to see that this woke like gaslighting tactics are utilized disgusts me, because I do believe in being awakened and woke in a sense, but not this gaslighting tactic wokeness, this fraudulentness. And I detest this trash. And the hatred I have has built so much. That's why I'm making this video. Because for me, I know when I face them and they behave this way, at this level of rage, it's gonna be bad. I don't. And for me, they use a lot of this teenage trash who think they can walk around the way they walk around in a program where they abuse and torture children. Like you're gonna hear, and I put that in their faces all the time. And the worst part is how they paint themselves as the protectors of children. Listen, these bottom feeders around you are bottom feeders. They are nothings. I know that. I know what they're doing to me is not because they're doing it to me. It's because they're involved in something that's doing that to me. And I think with me, they thought like, oh, did I do the mean things to these children? It's like, you are nothing. You not even do that to me. You're just covering that. They really think they're just covering that up and blocking that. Oh no, you are that. You're involved in that. You're just a little shit that was supposed to cover this thing up. Like I said, I'm gonna excuse my language, but and it's not bad. For me, there is a lot of female gender individual, from the teenage trash to the adult, mother nature looking people, which try to use that as gaslighting. But I call them the prostitute of these pedophiles. I'm not talking about just the women in this, but even the male participants. The governmental entities that's behind that, we all know. And I'm not even bringing up the esteem things. I'm just talking about in general, there's been a clear issue of pedophilia within these entities. I don't know why it's such an issue of that level. I don't know if that's not for me to speculate, but there is a clear issue of pedophilia when it comes to the Department of Defense and the CIA. There's been an issue that's been called out in BuzzFeed. There's been this DOD law that came out, a bill that was introduced called S1413 that just kind of points out that issue, right? Now, why is that happening like that to that level of volume? I don't know. It's not for me to speculate, but it is an issue that is happening there. And but these losers around you, these perps around you, they wanted to like guerrilla negate, meaning that they wanted to really like gaslight you in this like extreme level to cover up the evilness of even what you're gonna hear: babies being tortured, radiated, burnt, and even going to the sexual tortures. Now, these little fuckers around me, they think they can cover that up. On my soul, on everything I have left in me, I will never allow these bottom feeders to try to cover this thing up and try to paint themselves the way they want to paint themselves. In some cases, they call themselves like, we are at war. Fuck you. You're at war with 3-year-old being tortured? You're at war with 3-year-old and you torturing them like that? Is that why they're torturing this baby? They are at war with covering up the tortures of 3-year-olds. They're covering up the torturous things they do to children, and they call it war. Because it is their purpose and their war to stop from me seeing what they're part of that is torturous to children. And they send this little trash who thinks that just because they gamify these things that's horrible, that the government is really behind. I'm going to let them be just this childish individual covering this thing up. And with me lately, I think it's because there's just too much validation. They wanted me to see this thing as like this is a portal of this group of individual, and they kind of, it's so disgusting. And as my body's just being destroyed, I know that is clearly this military grade weaponry that can damage your body remotely. It's not this group of woke portal. And this Me Too, like, in the worst part is like how they try to play like Me Too-ish. Like, it's so disgusting. Where genital torture in this program is commonly happening. And they think they can have this tantrum. And I know at some point they just want to agitate me, but for me it's like, what will happen if we face? And there's one guy who saw an example of how things will go. And I hope that one of these people try to do one of this thing that they believe that they can paint this thing as like their portal, coming in or in my vicinity. And test it out. As I'm listening to the tortures of 3-year-old, I guess in the other portals, the abuses of these children. That they think having dog barking is going to cover that up. They let them call it war or whatever it is, to just try to make this horror of atrocious things happen to children okay. I'm not going to allow them to do that. And I know there's a lot of childish individuals that think that this is a time for me to just give a good example. You're part of this? You enjoy this? You enjoy covering the abuses of these children? Okay. It's on. Take that risk. For all these 3-year-old and toddlers being tortured in this program. From the radiation to whatever else terrible things that you're going to hear. I just woke up from a dream where they forced me to have this disgusting dream. It was not even fully a dream. It was like a mixture, because I was not fully asleep. I was like dozing off. So I was like half asleep, and they were making me have like, it was a mixture of like dream and imagination. And they were making me imagine all kind of random things. And then all of a sudden it's like a little girl, and then boom, they start giving me like stimulation and arousals. Which they can do that. And then they act like, oh, I little girls. They act like this whole thing is to protect little girls, this disgusting trash. And they send this trash around you. Who's supposed to gaslight you into internalizing this? It's like, oh, little girls. Yeah, it's like trash ass. Well, you're going to hear what's happening to little girls in this program. The diabolical atrociousness. The little girls being tortured in such a diabolical way from even sexual dreams. Implanting the little girl's brain. And then the worst disgusting part, that's how you know these fuckers are being groomed. There's some non-adults try to cover that up. With me, why I detest it is they think, because I deal with V2K, or it's V2K, and I know they're also in the hallways. Some of these teenage trashy lowlife, they start making themselves sound innocent, because what they're trying to do is like try to kind of like cover up this evil they do to the little girl. So if they talk in this innocent like way, which is not innocent, it sounds disgusting to me. I detect when I hear that little nasty voice. Oh, is they try to just cover up how they torture little girls and start talking like, oh, little girls. Oh, fucking nastiness. I detest this trash. Feeling so empowered by this governmental program that allows them to be able to burn people's genitals from remotely, damaging my body, damaging bodies, not just not mine. To remotely able to just slowly damage you, slowly killing you. And it's not them doing that. It's them being involved in something that does that. And also their job is to disorient the target individual, to make you believe this is anything but that. It was so disgusting. They really think they could. I don't know who. In some cases, I do believe that some of them are not fully mature enough in regard of like understanding. I love this perps because some of them are not even adults to understand. Like nobody will ever believe what you're putting, especially when you have everything against you. You can't be torturing little girls and be like, little girls. And then try to make somebody accept this manipulation that everybody else is talking about. And your gender does not cover that up. The way you make yourself talk in this childish way does not cover it up. Matter of fact, even you having little girls doesn't make you cover up the torture of little girls. You nasty trash, as I said that, immediately they start making me imagine disgusting thoughts. But you're going to hear Target Mitchell bring that up before causing mass shootings. That's how non-convincing they are. Target Mitchell lose their mind to the point of crashing out and killing in masses. And these clowns thought they could make somebody subscribe to this. It's okay. Listen, I say all that, I speak out loud, but I know I will not get the chance to face them in a way where they can put their, life can be endangered in food for them. That's the beauty about this program. It can do all kinds of horrible harm to you remotely. So you can flourish in your cowardness while doing the most disgusting things. And then try to paint yourself in this way. But given the chance, and these clowns do this in front of me, God give me the strength I need, because some things are going to go left. It will be bad. It will be really bad. There's one perp I can tell she's a nothing, right? She definitely wants to sound the fiercest, but she's also one of the dumbest. And via V2K, she talk like and she's just like and she's so childlike. At the same time, you can tell that she's one of the most immature one, but talks in like the fiercest way. I think it's somebody I saw a while ago that no longer is being visible. It was like a scrawny looking, like unhealthy looking, like I don't know if it was like a young adult or late teen, but like just I'm like, oh my gosh. And but when you heard her talk, like, oh my gosh, this little puny little sad. This is and there's a lot of them like that. I have a next door neighbor with a little hoodie, and she's like, oh my gosh, she thinks she's like in this like wars. Oh my god, it's a little pathetic low life. And so the empowerment they get from this program, seeing me being just deterring via this technology that does these things to my body, makes them feel so empowered, when in reality just some losers. That's why you love to be involved in this program. I heard torturing children and women, you little bottom feeders. And then they're like, we hate you. It's like, and who? And I don't hate you. You're some little coward low life in the program that torture babies. You think I have love for you? There's a reason they don't want to be seen. They know what will happen. I don't preach violence, but let's just say things will not go great. They're just little weak cowards who find empowerment in a program that can easily harm the most vulnerable. And they feel empowered because this governmental entity filled with pedophiles contract this loserness to do these diabolical things to us, and then try to gaslight the target, just make you believe that there is their technology or they're when the little nothings here, and damage and deter your body because they are being told to do that because that's their job. If they weren't this little bottom feeders, it would be other bottom feeders. But then they have this audacity to think like, we're doing it for fuck you. For the women and children dying in this program, I'm not going to let the little coward, low life empowered by this program. And let me tell you, the bottom feeders come in different shape and form. I go to the office where there's big deal people that see them coward. When I say Roy Moore, like, look at this. You see, look at this. Look at his face. And I don't want to bring too much Roy Moore because this is something specific to me. But let's just say that who you're going to face, who you're going to see are usually not the people really behind what's happening to you. Especially those who are participating and you hear interacting with you or making interaction via V2K. Those are really the nothings. They are truly the bottom feeders. The next door neighbors, they are truly the bottom feeders in this whole thing. The ones that invest the time in just watching you deter, they usually are just the bottom of the bottom of the bottom feeder. But it's been bad lately because I've started listening to Target Justice, right? It's a organization that focuses on targeted individual, and obviously it takes you away from like the little loop of reality they've tried to create, where I'm supposed to think it's like this different portal. It's the part of this Me Too. They're so retarded for me. And of course, in the first place, I'm never subscribed to that. But just Target Justice bring up the aspect of like this is a global thing. There's many Americans, but there's also many non-Americans, and this is and calling out specific agencies from the CIA to whatever else. And what you're going to hear here is one of the women bringing up the fact that, listen, 3-year-olds are being put in this program and being tortured. Some of the torture are not just like physical, but even psychological torture of consisting of like I just had this dream that was manipulated. It was a weird dream where it was not even it felt like I was in and out of sleep. And so it was like a mixture of feeling like you were like imagining. It was an imagination and dream at the same time. And that's why they do this some disgusting experiences. They make you even have sensation what is happening too. And even in that interview, but I'm not going to bring that specific clip, but she says like women have these sexual dreams and they can feel sensation what is happening. With me, they do this by in a pedophilia-centric way. So the dream itself was not sexual. There's a child that came in and they made me imagine this little girl and then start giving me stimulation that felt like somebody just pressed a button. It's a weird feeling, and they can do that in different fashion. With me, they can play my libido in different ways. There's ways where you just feel like they just press the button and my libido just... Sometimes they try to smooth it in. It's just like have a way to just like kind of transition from like thinking a woman and then like they have different ways they play with me. It's nasty. So with me, they just have made me have a dream where there's a child and then start playing with my libido, making me have an arousal it felt very, very synthetic. But before that, they were doing all kind of weird other dreams, and then boom, they just kind of mix it in. And that's the things they do. But to be aware that they do sexual dreams to children. That's how fucking disgusting these lowlife are. They still want me to think that these people are out here protecting little girls. And then I wake up and I hear this trash making that retard dog bark. You know, the typical noise campaign they do in apartments to try to cover up things. And they're like, no. They're like, yeah, your group, you did this, and try to bring up the things that they come up with, and they make up and exaggerate, and they, you know, they were bringing up something they created. First of all, it's funny with the groping part. At first, I thought they were trying to bring up me when I was in a nightclub between like 1822-ish. But then they also been going into my memories, falsifying something with like this. If you go away with Sarah, try to exaggerate what I did when I was like in 13 years old. Try to create, not even exaggerate, try to make up something. It started with like, oh, you kiss on the cheek and then you had the sensation. To now it's like group is like start making things. When I'm 13, while this trash out here torturing 3-year-old in these ways, and there's infants being tortured, by the way. And then send these little retards who think, no, it's just something like trash. It's something from people who tortured 3-year-old doing that to me. Then send these little retards who think they can talk in this innocent way. It's like, nah, yeah. Fuck you. Like it's the 3-year-old having their dream naturally. Excuse my language. But I'm not gonna let these fuckers cover up this level of diabolicalness that consists of even making children have sexual dreams. And then making me have these dreams. And then try to gaslight me to accept this false nastiness. And having their retard dogs bark. And then try to use their this gaslighting wokeness to drive me into accepting this stupidity, this disgustingness. Target Vigil, listen to this.
Surrounded by women, like in his staff. And he said, he took my card. He said, I'm going to look into this. So I don't know. Let's hope he blows the whistle on that.
Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really,
because that day that was one of the first hearings I went to, and that day I forgot to bring my flyers with me. I did bring my cards, but I forgot to bring the flyers because I didn't know I was going to be able to see him. And I just blurted out and I said, little girls are being microwaved by the CIA. And he was surrounded by women, like in his staff. And he said, he took my card. He said, I'm going to look into this. So I don't know. Let's hope he blows the whistle on that.
Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is for all the Russian government, where the Chinese government, were evil aliens, were Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions. I observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe
and have had
Yeah. So, we've spoken a few times. I'm going through the same thing. Our situations are a little different. So, I have the full-blown artificial telepathy. You're definitely receiving broadcasts because I've seen it in your photos. And, isn't it strange that sometimes you could feel some type of way that's not your feelings?
Yeah. They do that a lot. Can project anger, fear, and weird feelings. They can do pretty much anything that has access to the brain or to the mind.
Right.
Not just me, but I have children, and so my children are able to say certain things, like they can feel certain things.
Right.
Zaps on their body.
Yes, here's a filing-grounded, reportive case file summary of Devin Delaney Fraley and HF, with specific places you can verify each point in the accessible appellate petition materials, which reproduce key parts of the operative complaint. I'm going to rely most heavily on the Supreme Court appendix because it includes the relevant complaint excerpts verbatim, including the Fraley HF paragraphs, and is publicly accessible. 1. Where Fraley and HF appear across the litigation record. A District Court complaint excerpts in the Supreme Court appendix. The Supreme Court appendix contains the complaint section titled Devin Delaney Fraley and the follow-on paragraphs about HF starting immediately after that heading. B. Fifth Circuit Appeal, March 8, 2024. The Fifth Circuit opinion caption lists Devin Delaney Fraley and HF among the plaintiff's appellants. Notably, it labels JD and LM as a minor, but does not print a minor after HF in that caption line. C. Supreme Court Petition, July 23, 2024. The petition's petitioner list includes Devin Delaney Fraley and then separately lists HF, a minor. It also includes a note explaining that after an amended complaint was filed, the minor daughter of petitioner Fraley was added as a claimant. Number 2, Fraley's allegations, what she claims happened to her. In the complaint excerpt, as reproduced in the appendix, Fraley alleges in substance she was nominated included in a TSDB subcategory, NS McCarthy blacklist, without notice and without an opportunity to rebut. She alleges she has suffered physical electronic surveillance and organised stalking as part of being targeted. She alleges that around 2016, her targeting increased and she began experiencing artificial tinnitus and V2K continuously. She alleges directed energy weapon, DW attacks causing burns, including to her feet and genital area. She alleges the DW attacks caused symptoms she characterises as indicative of Havana syndrome, described as permanent brain and physical injuries. She alleges social, professional, personal repercussions, including suffering, anxiety and loss, and requests remedies including removal from the TSDB and damages. That is the core Fraley-specific symptom set and theory as pled in the excerpted complaint text. 3. HF's allegations, what Fraley claims happened to the child. In the same reproduced complaint excerpt, the filing describes HF as Fraley's daughter and a toddler, specifically referred to as 3-year-old. The text uses 3-year-old daughters, but the context is HF as the single minor plaintiff child. The allegations about the child's symptoms are described as, after the filing of the complaint, HF allegedly began showing signs of DVTK And because she is incapable of verbalizing, Fraley says she inferred symptoms through behavioral changes, including irritability, slamming her head against the floor, extremely high body temperature upon waking, among others. The allegations about ongoing harm include alleged irritability, anguish, sweating, pain, and suffering every day, with asserted unknown damages to the child's developing brain. The allegations about why the child is in the case include the complaint excerpt alleges the defendants added HF to the TSDB in retaliation for her mother being a plaintiff, emphasizing the child's toddler status and asserted lack of any basis for being treated as a threat. Nach 4. Procedural posture as it relates to them, how later filings frame it. The Fifth Circuit opinion describes the plaintiffs collectively as alleging being targeted and injured with directed energy weapons and voice-to-skull technology, and it addresses jurisdiction procedural issues around dismissal and preliminary injunction, not individualized facts per plaintiff. The Supreme Court petition reiterates the case history and notes that the minor daughter of petitioner Fraley was added after an amended complaint. The petition's petitioner list explicitly identifies HF as a minor. Hammer 5, addressing the narrative.
It to children, they're implanting children with atrocious dreams, many of them of a sexual nature. And it's just hard because there are women that not necessarily have eyes, and we have children as young as 3 years old that are hearing voices. They have implanted dreams, very violent and some in sexual nature. So American taxpayer money is being used, and this is, Maria, I just hard because there are women that not necessarily have implants in their like genital area, and they've experienced rapes, what are like they describe them as a rape. And I'm not going to go into the details of it, but it's very, very painful. And
voices, mind control conspiracies is heavily referenced in court records. Dayton Daily News, the precise method of how he gained access to each home, whether forced entry, unlocked door, etc., is not fully publicly detailed in the sources I found. The type model of gun used has not been clearly disclosed in the publicly available summary articles. Whether the homes were entered via doors, garages, or other entry points, in all cases, Straw Avenue, and the victims were his neighbours. Dayton Daily News, police found the victims fatally shot at multiple crime scenes in a residential area. ABC News, in video evidence introduced in court, one scene shows Marlowe walking up with a gun in his hand towards Sarah Anderson, who was on the phone, then shooting her. He walked into the home where Kayla Anderson was and shot her. He then exited via the garage and fired a second shot at Sarah while she was on the ground. WIO TV7 and W8YO Radio. After the shootings, Marlowe fled the state. He was later captured in Kansas. Dayton Daily News. What is not fully clear, the exact motive remains uncertain, though Marlowe's delusional belief system, voices, mind control conspiracies, is heavily referenced in court records. Dayton Daily News, the precise method of how he gained access to each home, whether forced entry, unlocked door, etc., is not fully publicly detailed in the sources I found. The type model of gun used has not been clearly disclosed in the publicly available summary articles. Whether the homes were entered via doors, garages, or other entry points, in all cases, is not fully specified.
I could not have asked for a better family. What you cannot comprehend is that we have been attacked by this weapon our entire lives, and the attack against me personally is one of the most vicious attacks a human being has ever faced. I have tolerated the most inhumane torture in hopes that the FBI and CIA would come to my defense, but they have failed to come to my aid. My only hope is that you come to understand what has happened here. When the world realizes what has happened, there will be justice, but I cannot sit by and be a victim any longer, and I refuse to sit by and do nothing while my nieces and nephews and the rest of my family are operated on with mind control. Our thoughts are not private. It is disgusting and it is cruel. I will be launching the first counterattack against mind control in human history. I want to be very clear, this will not be an active shooting event. I will be executing some of the people responsible for activating shooters. If I happen to survive, please visit me in prison, if only to see the same man you have always known, rather than the victim of some mental disorder that does not exist. What you may not understand is that I will gladly die to expose this, and I will gladly die to help one other victim discover the truth of what has happened. If I can help another targeted individual fight back against telepathy, then the sacrifice will be well worth it. To any TIs who read this, understand that your attackers use the form of ventriloquism I describe in the paper to move your thoughts, but your thoughts can also move their mouths. To my friends in Chicago, Lexington, Dayton, and all over the world, get this email out to everyone you know. The most horrific weapon ever made is being used on human beings, and if you ever learn the truth, you will understand what I did here to protect myself and my family. Get this out to other TIs, other voice hearers, so the world has a chance to fight back. To my family, especially my nieces and nephews, I want you to understand that what I do here
thought insertion, memory manipulation, memory insertion. You feel like your mind and your body is not yours, it's just being controlled by some asshole. Your emotions, everything, and you would see that, street theater, noise campaigns, voice to skull, they do a pretty good job of intertwining everything. But to an outsider's point of view, they're just gonna see you as fucking crazy. But I'm here to tell you it's happening. And this program is a slow death torture program. Why are we on this program? I still don't know. I have no idea. A lot of smear campaigns, and I'm losing my train of thought right now, because I'm just so. You start telling your story to people or whatever, they're not gonna believe you. It's either they're gonna gaslight you or whatever. It's and I'm losing my train of thought right now, because I'm just so freaking sleep deprived. I'm probably gonna make more videos, but no, I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna see how it goes with my fiance, and I'll keep you guys posted. And I'm looking for employment in it, but it's so hard to find employment right now. So hard to find a job. And if you do get a job, they mob you. Workplace mobbing, it's common. I know that it's hard to get a job, but once you get a job, you get mobbed. And the problem is, it's so sophisticated that you start telling your story to people. You do the same shit over and over. Whatever accomplishment. I'm just going on tangents right now. I have no clear outline. All I know is that I gotta make this video. I gotta send it out, because I've been waiting for the right moment to make a video on this topic. But there's never gonna be a right moment. Yeah. All I can say that whoever organization is behind this, or whatever criminal governmental organization, it's very, very uniform. Every country you go to, it's the same tactics. That's all I can say. It's very uniform. It's the same tactics everywhere you go. Whatever country you go to, you do the same shit over and over. whatever accomplishments you have, they'll try and discredit you at everything. Humiliation too. Humiliation, rituals, whatever, embarrassment. I have no idea why they do what they do. It's just whatever. And these thoughts, these fucking disgusting ass thoughts. And if you're a target individual, you know what I'm talking about these thoughts that are being fucking inserted into your head. It's disgusting. And it's horrible.